Good Saturday evening, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? I am Kendrick, the sports guy, and it is our time, Saturday night sports buzz with yours truly. How you doing? Hope everyone is doing well. It is Mother's Day weekend, pre-Mother's Day. We're gonna show the mothers a little love on tonight. First, we're gonna talk a little bit of sports. And I hope you all are doing well. So if you pop in, come in, make sure you let me know where you're watching from. Make sure you make sure you share this live stream to all your social media platforms. If you're watching me on YouTube, sure you subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost you a dime. Kendrick Sports Hustle. That's SporTZHustle, as well as TFG Sports Media. Make sure you subscribe to that as well on YouTube and TFG Media uh, as well. Got quite a few different shows and channels on the TFG Media Group. Matter of fact, one of them, I am part of a panel on TFG tonight with the host Brenton Haynes, again myself, Lady Devin Divine, and my good brother Lee Black. We are all on that. It comes on Friday nights at 7 p.m. Again on TFG tonight. Make sure you subscribe to that channel if you haven't. Doesn't cost you a dime on YouTube. Again, make sure you follow me right here if you're watching me on Facebook. Again, Kendrick Sports Hustle, as well as my personal page, Kendrick Roline Henderson. You can also follow me on Instagram at Kendrick1969. And you can follow me on TikTok at Kendrick Henderson 51, where it goes down over there on TikTok, ladies and gentlemen. We have a good time over there. And my live streams over there really go in because it's a lot of engagement, and that's my main thing about doing live streams is I want to engage with the viewers where we can just sit back and have a good time, especially when we're talking about sports. Because let's be honest, sports isn't that serious, ladies and gentlemen. To some, it is. Some fanatics, as I call them. I'm a fan. I'm not a fanatic. I love my sports, but I'm not fanatical about it. But some people, they are fanatics. They take their sports really serious, man, and they would go back and forth and go crazy in the comments section and in the chat. Whereas, man, I ain't trying to do all that. We can talk and have our opinions, and that's all good. But at the end of the day, it's just sports. We should have a little fun with it. But again, make sure you comment. Let me know where you're watching from. Don't be hiding in the bushes. If you're watching me on Facebook as well as on YouTube, comment. Let me know where you're watching from. Again, I know it's the Mother's Day weekend. It's pre-Mother's Day. I'm sure a lot of people are getting stuff prepared for those beautiful women in their lives. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the Mother's Day, too, as well. I'm going to salute my mother, who is no longer with me physically, but she's here with me spiritually. I will be talking about and remembering some of my fondest memories with my mother here in just a few. But we're gonna delve into some sports real quick. Again, this is Saturday Night Sports Buzz, where it's pretty lighthearted, and we just kind of go over some of the top sports stories from the previous week. Well, right now we got NBA playoffs is up front and close and personal. It is gaining all the attention. We got the semifinals rounds going on in the Eastern and Western Conference. We got the Pistons, who's the number one seed in the East. They are facing, they're playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, which they played earlier today. If I'm not mistaken, yes, the Pistons and the Cavs played earlier today. The Cavs got the big win. They needed it because they were down 2-0. And right now, we got the Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder playing on ABC. And right now, the Lakers have come up. They were down by 10 or 11 at one point, but now they have shifted the momentum. Old Mo is on the Lakers side. They are up 54-49 with roughly 2:20 left to go in the first half. And I wouldn't say it's a must win for the Lakers, or was it a must win for the Cavs? But both teams were down 2-0, so you definitely don't want to go down 3-0 because it's definitely tough to come back from that. So again, right now the Lakers are up on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, earlier today, again, like I said, the Cavaliers got the big win over the Pistons. The Pistons now lead that series 2-1. On last night, we got the best team. I think the best team playing. I ain't saying they the best team in the playoffs, but they, to me, in my opinion, are playing the best. That is the New York Knicks. What can you say about them New York Knicks, man? Let me see who's in here. What's up, Travis? How you doing? Thanks for popping in, my good man, and happy pre-Mother's Day to you, to your mothers as well. Who do I have winning the whole thing? I said that I thought the Thunder is going to repeat. I think the Thunder is probably going to repeat, but I think they're going the San Antonio Spurs is going to be it's going to be a tough out. I think the Thunder will beat the Lakers. I think they'll win this series in 5. But I think the next one, I think the Spurs are going to I think they're going to beat the Timberwolves. I think that Western Conference Final is going to be tough, but I think the Thunder will come out of that. And I think it'll be the Thunder and the Pistons. I still say the Pistons in the finals, but the Knicks, I don't know, man. What's up, Tasha? How you doing? Nice for you popping in. You guys let me know where you're watching from. Yeah. Travis says that's what he thinks too. You guys make sure y'all let me know where you're watching from as well. Thanks for popping in. So again, I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is probably going to win league MVP again. But one of the biggest talks about these playoffs, more specifically, the last Thunder Lakers game, on how bad the officiating is. And let's be honest, the NBA officiating has been suspect for quite a few years. But that game 2 officiating was really it was about as bad as it gets. And again, I'm not a big Lakers fan. I'm not I'm not I'm not a big LeBron fan. I'm not a LeBron hater. But some of the calls that the refs were giving the Thunder, it was blatant that, yo, what are we doing here, officials? That wasn't a foul. That was a flop. I was watching the play just a minute ago where Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he was using his off arm and he pushed off to create some space. No call. I mean, they called the foul on the Lakers. I'm like, are you kidding me? So again, I don't know what Adam Silver can do about the officiating. Again, we've seen this for years in the NBA, but it seemed like it's getting worse and worse as the years go by. But again, you got to play through it. As a professional, I'm sure you got to play through it. But a lot of these players, they do a lot of hollering and screaming now at the refs. So, it ain't just LeBron. A lot of people be like, oh, dang, LeBron, he cried too much. He's complaining. Well, hell, he ain't the only one that I see complaining. Yeah, he complained too. But he ain't the only one that be barking at the officials. Luka Doncic is another one, his teammate. He's big at crying and barking at the doggone officials every doggone time too. So it's a big problem that they need. I don't know how they can fix it. But back to the Knicks, man, I have to say that series is done. The Knicks took care of the 76ers last night, 108-94. They up 3-0 in that series. I don't see the Sixers coming back from that. I don't see them winning 4 games in a row. Jalen Brunson, what can you say about the young fella out of Villanova? He's went to the Big Apple and continued to play like he played when he was with Dallas. He's kind of just that dude. When you need a big shot, he hits it. He went for 33, had 9 assists last night. Mikal Bridges had 23 points for the Knicks. Josh Hart had 12 points as well and 11 rebounds. Knicks shot 50% from the field, whereas the Sixers, Joel Embiid he's playing nicked up. He's been hurt pretty much all season. He had 18 points and 6 rebounds, but it wasn't enough. Paul George is the guy that they really need to lean on, and he had 15 points, I think, in the first quarter, and that was it. He didn't score the rest of the game. If you're a superstar, which I think Paul George is a star. I don't know if he's necessarily a superstar, But you can't have 15 points in the first half and then don't score the rest of the way, especially when your team needs you. But yeah, the Sixers, they shot 43% from the field and 28% from behind the 3-point line. So I think that series is done. Again, I think the Knicks they're gonna probably walk right into the Eastern Conference Finals again. And I think it's gonna be the Knicks, and I think it's gonna be the Pistons. Even though I thought, really, Cleveland played with all they had today to squeak out that win. I think Detroit let one slip away. I think Detroit really could have put the pressure on getting that win tonight, but they let it slip away. But again, I think, in my opinion, I think in the Eastern Conference Finals, it's going to be the Pistons and the Knicks. In the Western Conference Finals, I think it's going to be the Thunder and the Spurs. And speaking of Spurs, Victor Wembanyama, what can you say about the young Frenchman? Young fella had put a 39-piece on the T-Wolves. It had 15 rebounds, 5 blocks. I think he joined Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaq, and it was one other player to be the first players to have 39 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 blocks in the playoff game. So the Spurs are that, I think, with that young nucleus, with their big three, with Victor Wembanyama, De'Aaron Fox, and Stephon Castle, I think they're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the Western Conference for some years to come. Speaking of Stephon Castle, he had 13 points, 12 assists last night. De'Aaron Fox had 17 points. Again, the Spurs got the win 115-108. They lead that series 2-1. T-Wolves' Anthony Edwards is playing through a hyperextended or a bruised knee, bruised bone in his left knee, I believe, but he put a 32-piece up, 32 points, 14 rebounds on last night. And I say this, and I've said this for the last couple of years, Anthony Edwards is my favorite NBA player to watch. Hands down. My favorite, the young fella, he just brings it. He's dynamic. He can do it all. I like his personality too. He's quite humorous too when it comes to sound bites. But I think the Wolves are overmatched. I don't think they'll be able to get past the Spurs. So that's my thoughts on the NBA playoffs. And sticking to the NBA, we just had some news come down. Just reported by ESPN just a few minutes ago that Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr, he was contemplating on possibly stepping away from coaching. He was done. He was really contemplating that. But it was being reported by ESPN's Shams Charania that Kerr has agreed to a 2-year contract to remain the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, and he will be still the highest paid NBA head coach in the league. So again, ESPN's reporting, NBA insider Shams Charania is saying that Steve Kerr has agreed to a new 2-year contract to continue to be the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, who I think their run is over. I think it's time to rebuild. And speaking of, this is a great segue to my next topic. We got to talk about current Golden State Warriors, Draymond Green. Obviously, the Golden State Warriors are not in the playoffs. They were in the play-in, but they weren't able to get out of that. Well, Draymond Green was a fill-in guest host on Inside the NBA on ESPN a couple of nights ago, filling in for Shaq. And Charles Barkley was given his assessment on the state of the Golden State Warriors, and his thoughts were, at this point the run is over. I think it's time to do something different. He was basically saying sports is a young person's game, no matter what sports, and he think he was saying they had a great run as far as the Golden State Warriors. Well, Draymond Green took issue to that, and he clapped back at Chuck. And I had the sound on it. Here it is. Check it out, and then we're going to come back and talk about it.
Sports, nobody wins when they're 37, 38.
But you said what you said. I didn't want to hear if he believes what you're talking.
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal is just to not look like you in the Houston Rockets uniform.
Yeah.
Is ultimately the goal for us. Like, we don't want to
What does that look like?
Did you see it?
I'm just asking.
I saw it. I mean, so.
That was Draymond Green with his comeback, his clapback to Chuck, talking about the Golden State Warriors and being old, and Draymond would come back and say, "Well, your last 2 years with the Rockets is something that we don't aspire. I don't aspire to be like." Well, Draymond, and I'll be honest with you, my thoughts. I'm not a big Draymond Green fan, ladies and gentlemen. I think he's a good basketball player, but I think he's overinflated how good he is. If you've watched some of his podcasts, he's part of this new media, whatever that means. These athletes that got their own podcast. They go on, they get in front of a mic and they say what they want to say, and they go off. I get it. No, I ain't got a problem with athletes speaking their mind. I just have a problem with Draymond Green with his thoughts of that he's that dude. Because I don't think he's that dude. Now, do I think he was a key piece to the 4 championships the Warriors won? Absolutely. Definitely think he was a key piece. But he wasn't that piece. He wasn't that piece. Austin Rivers went at him on, they've been going back and forth, and Austin Rivers basically he barbecued him on his comeback because Draymond came for him and Austin came for him. But anyway, I just think Draymond is I think he's better than he really is. Again, he was drafted into a pretty good situation, a pretty good team where you play with 3 Hall of Famers, with future Hall of Famers. You ran one of them off. By the way, Kevin Durant. But, you had the luxury of playing with Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry, excuse me, not Stephen. His name is actually William, but that's neither here nor there. So, again, my man, slow down a bit. Chill out. Yeah, you got 4 chips, but just because you win rings, there's a bunch of players that got multiple rings. That ain't great players. They just happen to be in a good situation. Now let's go back to him trying to put the Hall of Famer on blast about his Houston Rockets career. Well, let's see here. His 4 years in Houston, his last 4 years, that is Barkley, he played 16 years. His last 4 years was with the Houston Rockets. He averaged 16.5 points per game, 12.2 rebounds, 3.9 assists. Matter of fact, I think he had a 33 rebound game with the Rockets. That was his 4 years in Houston. Not bad for a guy that was up in age by that point. His 4 years in Houston is better. His stats is better than Draymond Green's career stats. Oh, by the way, they are 8.7 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, and 5.6 assists. So Barkley's 4 years in Houston, which some would say was probably the downside of his career, he was a better player than what Draymond has been his whole career. Yeah, he won a Defensive Player of the Year award in 2017 or whatever. Okay, he did that. Salute, respect. 4 chips, salute, respect. But as a player, I don't think nobody in their right mind would take Draymond Green over Chuck. Oh, and by the way, Chuck's career stats, 22.1 points per game, 11.7 rebounds, 3.9 assists. He also won the league MVP, 93. No chips. I get it. But just because you ain't got no chips don't mean you're not a great player. And I think that's what gets lost in the sauce. We think you equate a player with multiple championships, that means that they're a great player. No, that doesn't necessarily mean so. And it doesn't necessarily mean those that don't have a chip aren't great players. There's quite a few of them that don't have chips that were great players in the NBA. And unfortunately, this is the only sport we get into these conversations about the GOAT and who's great and who's not. It seemed like I don't understand why is that always the conversation in basketball. I don't get it. And then to say that you watched his last couple of years in Houston, Draymond, that's cap, bro. You were born March 4th, 1990. His last 2 years you would have been around 8 or 9. Not saying you didn't watch, but you didn't know. Were you a statistician then? Were you looking in the box scores at 9? I don't know. I'm just assuming. I know at 9 years old I was watching sports, but I damn sure wasn't looking at the box scores, watching somebody's career. So that was cap, Draymond. You know good and damn well you didn't watch Chuck's last couple of years in Houston because you wasn't even 10 years old. You were still wearing underoos, running around with snot in your nose. So anyway, that's Draymond Green again. I think he overinflates how good he is. You take Draymond Green off that Golden State Warrior team and put him somewhere else where he has to carry a team, he wouldn't be that dude. Because I don't even think Draymond Green was that dude at Michigan State, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I should have looked it up. But again, I'm not taking away. To make it to the NBA and to last as long as he's there. I'm not saying he's not a good basketball player by no means. I'm not saying he's a bust or a scrub. Because I think if you make it to the highest level of any professional sport, you're definitely not a scrub or a bust. I don't subscribe to that theory. But I do subscribe to the theory that some of these guys think they're better than they really are, and they're not. And Draymond Green is the captain of that list, in my opinion. So we had to talk about that on tonight. So I thought that was interesting. And Chuck would have a he would have a response on the Dan Patrick show. Chuck would say, if Golden State was relevant, he wouldn't be in the studio with me. And Chuck would respond, he would say that on the Dan Patrick show, which I thought was funny. But I will have to say, Draymond, a couple of days after this clip went nuts on social media, he would talk to fadeawayworld.net. He would somewhat apologize. And let me find a quote. Draymond would say, again, and I quote, the reason that I would even say that, what he said about Chuck, is that Charles Barkley makes fun of his career. Matter of fact, he makes fun of his career the last 2 years he was in Houston. He said, this is what Draymond was saying. I'm sort of paraphrasing. He says, I was going to get that free money. He said, he would go on to say, that is, Draymond. That's what he says. Everybody tried to make it like, oh, man, Draymond Green thinks he's better than Chuck. I found that interesting because what it shows is how badly y'all want me to do bad. Again, that was a quote from Draymond Green, and I don't think nobody wants him to do bad. I don't want him to do bad. I just want him to be quiet sometimes. I just want somebody to mute his mic. I don't want to see the brother do bad, but I would like to see his mic muted, me personally. Then Draymond would say his mom started blowing his phone up. He was out having a drink. And she asked him, was he and Charles got into it? He said no. Then she's like, she was seeing stuff on social media, on X. He would go on to say, he told his mom, stay off Twitter. Them people don't know what they're talking about. Then he would go on to say the disrespect wasn't the intent. If that's the way it's viewed as public disrespect, I can gladly publicly apologize. Disrespect wasn't my intent. What's funny about that is he says that in the statement, but he didn't publicly apologize. The irony in that. So he didn't gladly publicly apologize. He didn't say, hey, Chuck, my bad, bro. I didn't mean to disrespect you. I hadn't seen him say that anywhere. So he hadn't really publicly apologized. Maybe, I ain't the smartest man in the world, but I hadn't seen it. Maybe I need to search and dig a little deeper. But anyway, so that was one of the bigger stories that happened this week. That clip went crazy. Then we also have Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football. Johnny Football is getting to the boxing ring, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to be fighting a actor, podcaster Bob Menery. on May the 23rd at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. Uh, Again, I don't know what it is. I don't know how this came about, but Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel will be putting on the boxing gloves to fight podcaster actor Bob Menery. And according to Dana White, he has $10,000 up that Bob Menery won't show up to the fight, according to Dana White. So he's already put $10,000 up that Bob Menery won't show up. Now the fight will be on YouTube, Kick, Twitch, X, and TikTok. So you can find that and you can watch it if you like, if you have nothing else better to do on May the 23rd. So again, Johnny Manziel won the Heisman Trophy, in 2012 out of Texas A&M, straight out of Kerrville, Texas, by way of Tyler, Texas. He was born in Tyler. Matter of fact, funny story, my oldest son went to middle school with Johnny Manziel, Hubbard Middle School. Anyway, but he moved, he and his family moved after 7th grade year, and then they moved to Kerrville, Texas. So again, that's something to look forward to if you're looking for something to if you ain't got nothing else better to do. Johnny Manziel will be fighting Bob Menery on May the 23rd. Who is Bob Menery? I really had to look him up. I had never heard of him. He's acted in a few movies. Roadhouse. He was in Roadhouse in 2024. He was in Full Send Golf in 2024 and Billions in 2016. So there you have it. Hey, what's up, Nihar? How you doing? Good Saturday to you. Hey, thanks for popping in, checking out your boy. I'm just talking a little sports, whatnot here and there. So that's it on this Saturday night, pre-Mother's Day. I'm sure a lot of people are getting ready, are doing some things, or getting pre-Mother's Day situations going on. And I decided to pop in to talk a little bit, and then I'm going to get out your hair. What else was the other big story? Clutch Sports CEO, Rich Paul, he came out with a surprising or shocking allegation, I should say, on his podcast, Game Over, a couple of days ago. He says that, according to Rich Paul, that current and former NBA players are steering away clients from his sports agency because of their disdain, of their dislike of his most popular client, LeBron James. That's what he says. He says that some of the kids that he's been trying to get to sign to his agency, some former and current NBA players, steer those possible clients away to other sports agencies because of their dislike of LeBron James. My thoughts on it, I could see that possibly. Because there probably are some guys, and that's in the league that don't like LeBron, as well as former players. But until there's some receipts shown, Rich Paul can say this until he blue in the face. Okay, if you know this, pull the receipts. We want to know who they are, because until you really make it known, right now, all this is allegations. We don't know. And by the way, Rich Paul is doing pretty well. Clutch Sports Management, he has 41 NBA clients, to be exact, just the NBA. And he has some NFL clients as well, WNBA clients too, and some college clients. So it's not like he's hurting for business. But if that's the case, I don't think anybody's surprised, because LeBron he's a polarizing figure. I think LeBron, I look at LeBron kind of like the Dallas Cowboys. You either love LeBron or you hate him. There ain't no in between. And that's how people look at the Dallas Cowboys. You either love them or you hate them. And personally speaking, LeBron is not my favorite player. I think he's one of the greatest to ever lace them up. But I don't think he's the greatest. I mean, he's one of my favorite. He's not probably in my top 5. He's in my top 10. I think he's a great father. I think he's a great husband. I mean, you ain't really heard about him being in no salacious scandals. I hadn't. I think overall, I actually think he's a good dude. I just didn't like the way he moved on the basketball scene, me personally. I don't like the way he moved, as far as how he wanted to stack teams and create again. But again, that's his choice. I don't like it, but that's how he wanted to move. So, but again, I could see that possibly being part of the deal. Some of these former players and current players don't rock with him like that. But at the end of the day, I think LeBron James don't really care anyway, one way or the other. At the end of the day, he's a champion, 4-time champion, league MVP, Olympic champion. And he's again, he's pretty much got every record in the book now, as far as when it comes to NBA. So, but again, Rich Paul, I want to see some receipts, and I have some problems with Rich Paul too, because I've watched a couple of his interviews, and again, I understand that LeBron is his dude, and that's his guy. They've been friends since 2002. But he tends to like to throw shots at some of the other greats just to lift up LeBron, and I don't like that. I think that's whack. I think you can still tout your guy, but not throw shots at other greats. There can be more than one great at one time. You know that, right? But for some reason, the NBA GOAT conversation, it can't be. You can't, according to this conversation, which it triggers a lot of people, and I don't get into it anymore because nobody's changing my mind who my GOAT is anyway. So why even talk about it? But it triggers it, and I don't understand. You can have more than one GOAT at one time. And just because you're number 2, that's not a bad thing either. Number 3, and anything, everybody's list is going to be different anyway. So it is what it is. There's no right or wrong answer to that debate. You may not agree with someone's choice, but they ain't wrong. That's who they feel like it is. So again, that was the thing with Rich Paul that happened this week, and it got some traction. It got some comments and as well. So speaking of the Lakers and LeBron, they are in the tight one. The Thunder are up 65-63 in the third quarter. Again, the Thunder are up 2-0 in this series. I picked the Thunder to win this series in 5. And I picked the Spurs to win the other series in the Western Conference semifinals over the T-Wolves. I picked them to win that one in 6. As far as the Eastern Conference, I think the Knicks is pretty much, you can stick a fork in that one. 76ers are done. The Knicks are up 3-0 on the Sixers now, and that Pistons Cavaliers series might be a little bit tighter. Cavs got the win today, so the Pistons are up 2-1 in that other Eastern Conference semifinals. All right, it is Mother's Day weekend, and I wanted to save the last part of the show. If anybody's watching, definitely I want you to engage and talk with me on the comments, because this is a special day, special weekend for the mothers, where we celebrate our queens and those that gave us life, those that nurtured us, those that fussed at us, those that disciplined us, those that hugged us, those that did all that what mothers do when it comes to their children, being that steady rock, that steady influence. And so again, I'm saluting all the mothers on tonight, because you are the backbone. You are the backbone of the family, and you set the tone, especially for children, and for how they can get ready to move on and get into the world and move on to be who the best they can be. Not saying fathers don't have a role in that either, because fathers do. They're important too, but mothers set the tone, in my opinion, because they carried these babies for 9 months, so they have a different connection with their children than fathers do. And I can honestly say that connection with my mother, it had been, and still is, since from the day I probably enter a womb. I said this. I said I remember I was she was the first woman that I fell in love with. That my mother. She was the first woman I knew what her heartbeat sounded like. You know, uh, my mother, Carolyn Louise Henderson, peace be upon her. My mother was 16 years old when she birthed her first son in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, at Milwaukee County General Hospital, January 19th, 1969. And I remember my mother telling me that when when she delivered me, her birth, her umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck, and I wasn't breathing. And the doctors had to do what they had to do, so to get me to breathe. So she always said that I was her miracle child. So again, so yeah, being born to a teenage mother who, you know, I didn't really know the effects of it. My mother was the youngest child of 11 of Amos and the late Amos and Eula Mae Horn Henderson. And my mother did not know her own mother. My grandmother, Eula Mae Horn Henderson, passed away before my mother turned 2 years old. My grandmother passed away in 1954, May of 1954. My mother was born June 9th, 1952. So my mother did not even know her own mother. So she grew up motherless. Um, she would eventually my grandfather would allow her to go stay with her older sisters in Milwaukee. And that's that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But my mother birthed her first son again, and I have so many fond memories when I was her only child. I knew I would I was very, very, I guess, creative because I was the only child for so long. So I would do things that would really would have my mother pulling her hair out. I remember my mother had some end tables. We were living in Milwaukee. I think I was around 4, maybe. I don't know how old I am on this picture. I think I may be, but I probably was there. I probably was about 4 right there, 3 or 4. I don't know. But my mother had some end tables where I was small enough that I could get in, and I would get in those end tables from time to time and hide from my mother. And I would hear her yelling my name, Kenny, Kenny, where are you? And I wouldn't be saying nothing. I'd be in that end table. I would do that from time to time. Don't know why, ladies and gentlemen. That's because that's how I entertained myself with me being the only child. So I would do that. There was other things I did. My mother would tell me there was one Christmas she bought me some Christmas gifts. We were staying upstairs, and I threw all my Christmas toys out the window. And she said the postman came and knocked on her door and said, "Ma'am, were you throwing some stuff away?" She's like, "No." She said, "Well, you got a whole bunch of toys outside of your window." And she looked, and lo and behold, it was my Christmas toys that I had thrown out the window. Yeah. Yeah, so I gave my mama the business. And then we're not going to talk about cars. I had an infatuation with cars. At the age of 5 and 6, I would 4 and 5 and 6. For some reason, I would love figure out how to put cars in gear. I'm telling you, these is when you had the gears on the steering wheel, not like most of them are today. They were on the steering wheel. Somehow I knew how to put that thing in drive, and I put many cars in drive and rolling them out. And boy, again, my mother, I drove her crazy with that. So those are some of my fondest memories growing up. My mother was before she gave her life to Christ in the mid-70s, after my baby brother was born. I remember her listening to the Temptations and Marvin Gaye and Al Green. and Isaac Hayes. Those were her dudes, her groups. Definitely the Temptations. That's where I got my name from. Kendrick. Eddie Kendricks was her favorite temp, by the way. So she decided to name me Kendrick and drop the S. So my mother was a big Temptation fan. So I guess that's why, Temptation, I always tell people that's my favorite group of all time. It just was, it's in my blood. I guess I liked them in the womb. Didn't really realize it, but yeah. So yeah, that was my mother, man, Carolyn Louise Henderson, the baby girl of Amos and Eula Mae Horn Henderson, born in Nacogdoches, Texas. You don't know, that's the oldest town in Texas, small town in East Texas. So that's my mom's family. So losing my mother, uh, it's definitely been a challenge. Our mother passed away October 27, 2005, at the young age of 53 from stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And I remember those months just like it happened yesterday. My mother, she was diagnosed in July of 2005, and she was gone in October. So it took her quick. Again, I replay that. I replay that over and over in my mind. What's up, for love of the game? Cool. Thanks for popping in. I replay those last moments with my mother. I remember, some things she was, when she really got sick. I remember I was thinking how things come full circle, because when your mother take care of you from an infant on, she's cleaning you, changing your diapers, getting you dressed, uh, washing your face, whatever she needs to do to make sure you're good. There was one time where my mother, she couldn't hold food. She was staying at my brother's and my sister-in-law's, and she couldn't hold food. She was trying to eat. This was toward the end of her life, and I could tell she was about to throw up. So I had to run over there, and my mother, she actually threw up in my hands. Stuff like that. I still remember, my brother and I trying to take care of our mother the best that we could, during the last days of her life. So those are just some of the things that I told somebody today. Grief has no expiration date. Even though the circle of life tells us that we're supposed to bury our parents first, it still doesn't. It still hurts to see your parent go. And especially with my mother was so young, 53. She missed a lot of moments, man. My brothers, with me and my brother, with our children. My mother didn't see any of her grandchildren graduate high school. She didn't even get to see one of her grandchildren. My nephew Dalen was born a year after she passed away. So he never even knew his grandmother. I think about my children. When my mother passed away, my oldest, he was in the seventh grade. And my two youngest, my daughter and my youngest son, they were both in elementary school. So they remember my mother, but vaguely, they were young. So yeah, just think about some of the moments my mother has missed. She don't need, her grandchildren. I got two grandchildren that she didn't get to see. My brother has grandchildren that she didn't see. So it's bittersweet, man, thinking about that. And I think about me, I've already lived 4 years longer than my mother. I'm 57. So that I think about that a lot too, but the one thing you can't take away is, even though, a person that you love physically leaves, the memories don't. You have them in your heart forever. I have so many fond days. I think one of my most proudest Mother's Day memory, I remember I was working at Red Lobster at the time after I graduated high school. And on her born day, I had won Employee of the Month. So they gave me a $25 gift certificate. This was in the late 80s, by the way. I was making $3.50 an hour, by the way. They gave me a $25 gift certificate. Y'all remember back then, Red Lobster was the spot you go eat. If you was going to Red Lobster, yeah, you was doing big things. So I had one employee of the month for that month, and my mother's born day is in June. So I bought her a new dress, and I decided to take her out to Red Lobster for her born day with my $25 gift certificate. And my mother, she called and told everybody. She was so excited and happy about that. Uh, that's one of my fondest, proudest moments of being able to make my mother smile. You know what I mean? Even though it really don't sound like a lot, but mamas, they little things like that, they gonna always remember, and they gonna cherish that. I remember one year I bought her a watch, I believe, for her born day. And she calling all of her friends and stuff. Boy, she was excited about that. Telling her Kenny he bought me a watch for my boy. Yeah, so it's things like that that I will always cherish. But just her unconditional love too, that you know, I always cherish. And just not having her here has been a difficult road because I've had some bumps along the way. Far as life has been life, and not to have her here uh to kind of lean on, it's been difficult. But she raised some resilient sons, and her spirit lives on as well through me and my brother and through our seeds. So definitely want to salute my mother on tomorrow. I won't probably be on social media that much tomorrow. I'll be visiting her at her final resting place to put some fresh flowers on her grave. And but to those that watch this, if your mother is still living and she got a heartbeat and she breathing and still can get around pretty good, don't take that for granted, man. Go spend some time with her. We got technology now. If y'all even live in different states, FaceTime. I know a lot of our mothers probably aren't really technology savvy, but there's no reason, man. You don't want to have leave with a what if. I wish I would have. You don't want to have those moments. So I say to those that you still got your mother, man, take care of her, not just only on Mother's Day, but just during the year too. Show her, let her know you appreciate her. Pac had the song "Dear Mama." Just one of my favorite joints. Just let your mother know you appreciate her. Uh, when at all the sacrifices that she made, because let's be honest, mothers make more sacrifices than fathers do. That's just point blank, period. I mean, and, it's no shade to good dads either. Some great dads out here, but mothers make sacrifices that a lot of fathers, we don't make. So definitely, man, go hug on your mom a little tighter, spend a little bit more time with her, and not only on Mother's Day, but all the other rest of the days as well. I also got to salute not only the woman that birthed me, but the woman that allowed me to become a father. My late ex-wife, who I think about all the time, and losing her has definitely been a challenge too. Bridget Annette Johnson Henderson, who we unexpectedly lost on May the 5th, 2022, at the young age of 47. We spent half our adult life together. We were married almost 20 years, and she was able to birth three beautiful children of mine. Uh, and she was a soldier. I was there for all them births, man, and she took no pain medicine, no epidural, none of that. She was a soldier. So her being gone has definitely been a challenge too, man. Uh, our grandkids, our oldest grandchild, Anila, misses her. Uh, she was 7 when Bridget passed away, so she has some memories of her granny. And our new grandson, Anis Kwawi, is 8 months, so he won't ever know his grandmother, but we're gonna make sure he know who she was. So I definitely gotta shout out Bridget Annette. I call her my Bridget Annette because she will always be that, because she played an important part of my life too. She was the woman that birthed my 3 children. And so we're gonna, definitely Definitely gonna put some fresh flowers on her grave as well on tomorrow. So those two women right there, yeah, that it's been a challenge. So again, I would say it's Mother's Day weekend. Love on your mothers. Don't take them for granted, and don't take that time for granted that you have to spend with them. Don't make it seem like it's a chore, because it's a lot of us that wish we still had our mothers physically here on earth, that we could go get that Mother's Day meal or that Thanksgiving meal, that Easter meal or whatever, or just call just to say, hey, mama, what's happening? How you doing? I got something for you. About to come through. About to come scoop you up. Where you want to go today? I got you. Would love to be able to do that. But the Most High said, nope, I need my child back with me. That is my mother, Carolyn Louise Henderson. So, again, happy Mother's Day, Mama in heaven. Peace be upon you. May your peaceful journey continue to be a beautiful one. Happy Mother's Day, Bridget Annette Johnson Henderson. May your peaceful journey continue to be a beautiful one as well. Again, I am Kendrick, the sports guy, wishing all the beautiful mothers out there happy Mother's Day, the mothers that birth children, the mothers that didn't birth children, that stood in the gap, all that. If you've been a mother figure to somebody, it is your day too. Happy Mother's Day to you as well, beautiful women. And in the words of the late James Brown, it's a man's world, but it wouldn't mean nothing without a woman or a girl. And on that note, we will see you again on next Saturday night. You all have a good one. Stay blessed. Enjoy your mothers tomorrow. And we'll catch you on the next live stream. I am Kendrick, the sports guy. I am out. Peace.